Hi everybody, it's me, Miss Tina Z, your favorite gender non-conforming ukulelist and vocalist. How are you? I'm fine. I'm going to move you just a bit. Don't worry. Right about here. Yay, yay, and yay. I have visual aid. Today, oh, did I introduce myself? Hi, I'm Miss Tina Z, your favorite gender non-conforming ukulelist and vocalist. Yeah, I did do that. I have a visual aid today. This is your favorite gender non-conforming ukulelist and vocalist, not ukuleleing or vocaling. Not doing a song, I'm doing a presentation, thus the whiteboard. So let's pretend for, do you all know what a planned community is? So a planned community is basically a developer creates a little town with everything you would need encompassed within this development. So there's a commercial district for your stores, and there's a school, and there's a fire station, and centralized government, and blah, blah, blah. Basically, it's a little city planned out, okay? I'm going to draw you one of those, or my version of it. I'm not an artist, I can already tell you that much. Well, let's say the planned community is about like that, okay? So, isn't that beautiful? So, let's pretend that if we zoom all the way in, I don't know why I did that shape. Let's pretend that we're zooming all the way into a neighborhood in this planned community, and there's a road. And the road is coming up like so, okay? And little, road dividers. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay, so let's pretend in this planned community, right here, they build an intersection, the people who are doing this. And then the road goes up this way, and then it goes up this way, like yay, and then it goes up that way, like yay. Boom, boom, boom. Kind of looks like a cactus. Anyway, let's pretend that's how in this little part of the planned community that they've built this road. Okay, are we all on the same page? Now let's pretend that on either side, at every, I don't know how far apart, every 100 feet, there's a street light to illuminate these new roads. Okay? The little dots represent streetlights. Boom! Yeah, streetlights. And then here, streetlights. Boom, boom. Here. And very carefully spaced out right there. Yeah? Okay, you see the dots? You see the dots? Streetlights? Yay! Okay. So, this is one little road in a planned community in Arizona, where I live. Yay! So, let's say that this same development company is also doing a planned community in New Mexico, my state neighbor, New Mexico. Yay! So they get to and the plans are pretty much identical. It's the little commercial district and blah blah blah. Okay, so the big plan has everything in it for a little town. Okay, so let's say in the New Mexico version of this, they get to this road that they've built. This is the Arizona version, but instead of doing this fork in the road, it's not there. They've left that off of their plans, and it's just this. It's the one road that goes straight, and then it has the right turn and the left turn. Okay? Now let's further imagine that every other streetlight on these roads has been eliminated. Boop. Okay? So it looks kind of similar, kind of sort of the same as the other one with the road up here. There are differences, yes? not as many streetlights, and we're missing a section of this road, okay? But otherwise, the community is pretty much the same in New Mexico and Arizona. Everybody cool with that? Excellent. So let's put a pin in that. Remember that. I should have brought an eraser. My hand works just fine. Okay, now I want to go to that weird shape that I did. This is what the shape of the planned community is, okay? There's the shape. So, there's and our little road that we did. There's the Arizona version. It's so small, like on the whole thing. You see, there it is. There's the little Arizona version, and if we take that little wing off right there, there's the little New Mexico version. Okay, do we all understand where we are so far? So now let's say there are neighborhoods, major neighborhoods in this planned community. Goes something about like that. Just imagine these are neighborhoods, and so this will be like the commercial district, and this is your park and a school and blah blah blah. And these are residential neighborhoods. So let's say, do you remember the streetlights? The little dots are streetlights. Let's say that, and let's just call them A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. A through H neighborhoods in our planned community. I guarantee you this is going somewhere. So let's pretend that some of the streetlights in neighborhood A and C and E are connected. The electric company, when they were doing all the wiring, those three are connected. And when it's time for the lights in neighborhood A to go on, they go on first, and then C goes on second, and then E goes on third. All the time, every time. 1, 2, 3, just like that. Bum, bum, bum. And it happens almost as fast as the speed of light. And A, C, and E. That's ACE. Yay! The lights go on 1, 2, 3 in those three neighborhoods that way all the time. And this is the Arizona example, okay? So now, let's just say that in the New Mexico example, the lights are also, the electricity also is connected in A, C, and E. They're all related. But in the New Mexico community, for whatever reason, A goes on first, then E goes on, and then C. So it's AEC. Boom, 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 all the time, every time. This one, this one, this one. Okay? We're all good? Excellent. And Miss Tina Z, you're probably wondering at this point, what in the devil are you talking about? I'm talking about our brains. Okay, the reason for this video. So I recorded myself talking about the Memphis Uke and Roll ukulele jamboree, where I performed and had this many beautiful experiences, and then I recorded a video about it, kind of unpacking it all and trying to really process the entire thing. And I did that, and I posted the video, and so many people responded, opened their hearts again and responded, and it was just beautiful. This is on the Goober Crew Facebook page. That's where I put the video initially, and I let it sit there for about a week by itself. And the responses, oh my gosh. So, a quick aside, I almost always, I shouldn't say almost, I mostly reply to people on this sort of thing individually. But it was just a lot emotionally going on, so I haven't done that yet. I will, but this video is kind of a video response to all of the comments that came in from that video, and if you were tagged somehow to see this video, I just wanted to explain that a little bit, that I read every single word, and all of your comments were so beautiful. Thank you. And all of them led me to think about this planned community sort of example, as our brains. Okay. So if we remember the first example, and I'll just do a tiny version. The Arizona brain had the road that went like that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that, like that, and then street lights, ba ba ba, ba 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 ba. What did I say? Every 100 feet or something? But then the New Mexico one, that wasn't there, and then half the street lights. Okay, so as we are conceived, before I go there, I study neuroscience, brain science, but I study it more from a psychology perspective. So the things that I study are neuropsychology, and I do this for fun, which means I should have more fun. My hobby should be more exciting. But anyway, I read lots of books about neuropsychology. This does not make me an expert in neuropsychology, and it certainly does not make me an expert in neuroscience. Neuroscience is the study of how our brains work, and that science is just now beginning to really make strides forward, but it is in its infancy, especially compared to the science of other things that we study. Okay? And also, I fully admit that this might be the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is I have a little bit of knowledge, and that gives me more confidence than I should have about the subject matter. I fully admit that might be part of what's happening right now. But I wanted to talk to you about brain development. And I think it's important because in neuroscience, the study of our noodles, the very, very smart people who do that are now beginning to make discoveries about transgender people. And here I have to say, I want to differentiate between biological, cisgender, and transgender. I know this is a lot, but biological, when I talk about biological, that just means the body that with which you are born. Okay, just the physical parts. That's your biological makeup. And then cisgender is a term that refers to, if you haven't heard that term before, cisgender, it means that your feeling about your gender matches what your biology. So the body you were born with matches how you perceive your gender and how you express your gender, and you never really have to think about it because it's all aligned and you're very comfortable. That's cisgender. Transgender is it is when your biology is one thing, but your mind is a different thing, gender-wise. Okay? So that's where I am. Shock! The road that I showed you. So in utero, we all begin as the same gender, physically speaking, biologically speaking, as far as how our bodies start to develop in utero. For about a month, we are all the same. There's no differentiation, boy or girl. But biologically, there's the chromosomes, the XY chromosomes, and about a month into it, they signal the production of testosterone, which starts the biological male process. That starts building male parts, okay? But it also develops the brain. And so that road that I showed you, the Arizona road, that represents a male, typical male brain, biologically speaking. Neuroscience is now discovering that in trans women, those born with male parts but expressing femininity, that secondary road is not there. And in biological women's brains, that also is not there. So I believe it was New Mexico, right, where the road forked one way and then went straight up, and then there were streetlights half as much as Arizona, right? That's the biological female brain. Neuroscientists are now discovering that trans women have brains that more resemble New Mexico than they do Arizona. So there are physical differences in the brain, and we know that road, that split road, and the street lights every 100 feet, we know for a fact that was built by the construction crew known as testosterone. How would that be for a name for a construction company? Testosterone builders. Anyway, we know as a scientific fact that testosterone in certain parts of the biological male brain is responsible in utero for making those neurological pathways, which is what they are. And the streetlights represent neurons, basically, or connections between the pathways. Lightning bolts. And so in the New Mexico brain, the biological female brain, there isn't that secondary road, and I'm dumbing this way down. It's way more complicated than this, but I'm trying to make it simple. And there are about half as many neurons going in that tiny, tiny little... Remember, from that whole planned area, this was just this tiny little road. Okay, so that's why this discovery is relatively new, and it was... It is conclusive. There's just not enough data yet to say this is what's happening, because the way that they have discovered this is by examination of dissected brains. And I don't know if you're a doctor or not, but to have one's brain dissected, you must be quite dead. So you can imagine there's not a lot of volunteers for this type of medical study. But the people who have donated their bodies to science, this is one of the differences that they are seeing between transgender people and cisgender people. And so there's not enough data to say this is exactly what happens, but we do have evidence that it has happened, and it's probable that something is happening in utero to a transgender person's brain, where they are born with a biological set, but their brain didn't develop in conjunction with that biological set. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay, so now the other thing about the neighborhood A and C and E, and the lights always go bump, 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 bump. But in New Mexico, it's A, E, C. Do you remember that from 40 minutes ago? Sorry, this is long. Anyway, those are neural networks. And one of the other differences that neuroscientists are discovering with transgender people is that in biological women's brains, there's this pattern of neurological connection. So this community goes, this community lights up, that community lights up, that community lights up. Boop, 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 boop. But in biological male brains, it's there's one piece that skips. So it's similar pattern, but not the same pattern. So again, they are discovering with transgender people that a trans woman's neurological network connection is more similar to a biological woman's brain. Again, which is more evidence that what we are talking about is a brain difference and not a preference, I suppose. I don't know what the word would be, but it's just more evidence that transgenderism is akin to being handed, right-handed or left-handed, or to autism, for example. That it's just a difference that you are born with, and it's because of how your brain developed. So why am I going through this very boring lesson with you? That's an excellent question. So, going all the way back to the start of the video, when I was talking about the people who responded so beautifully to my other video, where I was all weepy. I know from reading all of your beautiful responses that you are Team Tina. You are an ally of Tina Z, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. You cannot imagine what that means to me. It means so much. But here's what I'm asking you as a favor. I want you to be a transgender ally, not just a Tina Z ally. And it's a little more daring to do that, I suppose, especially with today's climate. And I'm trying to avoid politics as much as I can, but right now, a certain political party is trying to score as many points as they can by bashing transgender people as hard as they can. And I saw this coming a couple years ago, and I've been bracing for it, and oh lordy, is it happening. And if you haven't been paying attention to it, just start listening to what some candidates are saying about transgender people and leveling all sorts of horrible accusations and just saying the worst things ever. So, keeping in mind that science is beginning to tell us and is telling us more and more that transgender people are born with their brains, duh, but their brains don't necessarily align with their biological body. This is what science is discovering. And so, a transgender person has the choice once they admit to themselves that they are transgender, and this admission took me 40-some years to do, so not a lot of trans people are there yet, but once a transgender person does admit this truth about themselves to themselves, they have a couple of options, and one of them is to keep themselves hidden in a closet and to try to live their life with a brain outwardly that doesn't match what their brain is. Does that make sense? I messed up that sentence. But what I'm trying to say is, so a transgender woman, once they know that they are transgender, and if they are in the closet, they live a day-to-day existence where they have to butch it up and try to fit in with the fellas, and there's, you might not think there's a lot of that happening every day, but oh my gosh, there's tons of that nonsense happening all the time. once you are I suppose sensitive to it, it's just almost all the time. So that's one choice, but the other choice is to start expressing the gender that aligns with your brain and not your body, and that causes all kinds of problems, especially with some people on a certain side of the political spectrum. And trust me, that is the side where you finally get to breathe. You finally are allowed to have at least a partial sort of outward appearance that where your entire being, your consciousness goes, yeah, thank you. Oh, at long last, that's where we're supposed to be. Whew! And trust me, it's way better than fighting. It's way better than fighting. Fighting with yourself, that is. Okay? And so that brings me to my last point. as an ally of transgender people, which you all are now, I'm hoping, and I'm hoping my silly examples helped you. I want you to think about your left foot, and if you have a limb difference where you don't have a left foot, I apologize in advance, but let's just assume that most of you have a left foot. So think about your left foot, and then also think about who you are as a person. Think about your personality. Are you gregarious? Are you funny? Do you tell jokes? Are you the life of the party? Do you have so many friends you can't count them on two hands and however many feet you have? Or are you shy? Are you reserved? Are you a wallflower? Are you someone who would rather chill out at home, watch some Netflix, than go to a cocktail party? Think about your personality. Think about all the facets of your personality, and think about your left foot. And tell me right now how much of your personality, which is huge and expansive and so complex, tell me how much of your personality is derived from your left foot. And right now you should be saying, Tina Z, the answer is 0. My left foot doesn't have anything to do with my personality. Oh, excellent. You're absolutely right. It does not. Your personality comes from your brain. Who you are is a product of your noodle right up here. It doesn't have anything to do with your physical being. So your left foot has nothing to do with who you are and what you like and your preferences and on and on and on. And neither does any other part of your body. Wink? Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you're biologically given a certain body with certain parts, just because you have a certain part has nothing to do with you as a person, because your physical stuff has no relation to who you are as a person. Take a breath. I'm getting wound up. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. I hope this makes sense, and if you're seeing this through a tag on Facebook, I love you for what you said, and I appreciate every single word you said, and I'm going to try my hardest to respond to everybody personally, okay? Give me a little time, though. And then let me know if you have any questions, because this was a lot. I understand this was a lot, but as a new, if you weren't a transgender ally already, as a new transgender ally, I wanted to give you some sort of, I suppose, ammunition for the fight. And so just remember, the brain differences are real. The brain is who you are as a person, and science is on the side of transgender people, and it will be more and more as the days go on. I promise you that. Cool? Cool. Oh, yeah, and then just because there isn't a ton of science right now, what you could do is, what you should say to someone, an anti-transgender person, is have some empathy. Empathy means that you trust what a person is telling you, and I can tell you from the bottom of my heart that my brain is not a all-male brain. There's a feminine quality to it. I promise you that. So empathy requires that you trust what I'm telling you about my own existence. And believe me, that's empathy. Believe me, okay? So I've given you a couple things to hopefully bring up the next time you're in a discussion with an anti-transgender person, okay? Okay. Mwah! Peace and love. I will talk to you later. Bye!